Today, we are going to tell you a story that will make your heart tremble. This is the story of two sisters, one dark-skinned and one fair-skinned. The fair sister did something so terrible to her own biological dark-skinned sister that whoever hears this event will have goosebumps rise on their skin. And in this story, there is also a parrot whose role changes the entire course of events. What exactly did that fair sister do? And who was that parrot? Stay with us to know this entire incident. By Smilahir Ramanir Rahim. There was once a settlement, a very beautiful, clean, and peaceful village. The people there were simple-hearted and hardworking. Every person earned through their own hard work, ate honest, halal sustenance, and thanked Allah. There was no deception, no greed, just a simple life and strong relationships. In a raw mud but clean house in that settlement lived an old woman. Age had cast wrinkles upon her hands, but her heart was very virtuous and simple. This old woman had two daughters. Both were young. The old woman had seen much sorrow in her life, but she never spread her hands, begged before anyone. She raised her daughters by sewing people's clothes. She worked day and night, watering the destiny of her daughters with needle and thread. That woman was very pious and principled. She used to say, "Daughters, there is blessing in hard-earned money, and living with honor is the real wealth." The elder daughter had a dark complexion. Her face held simplicity, and her eyes held patience and endurance. Her name was Sabra, Patient One, because she was truly a picture of patience. The younger daughter, however, seemed to have been created by nature with special leisure. Fair skin, a face like the moon, a sparkle in her eyes, and an attraction in her smile. Whoever saw her once wished to see her again. Her name was Hina. She was radiant, like the beauty of the settlement itself. Sabra and Hina. Both were daughters of the same mother, raised in the same house. But nature had kept their characters, thoughts, and temperaments completely different. On one side was Sabra, and on the other was Hina. In one, there was patience, silence, and endurance. In the other, there was vanity, pride, and self-admiration. Sabra's complexion was very dark, so dark that the people of the settlement recognized her less by her name and more by her color. Since childhood, people had mocked her. Some laughed, calling her Blackie, while others taunted her. But Sabra never replied to anyone. She simply gathered every taunt, every word silently in her heart. Sabra handled all the household chores. When her mother was sewing clothes, Sabra would sit beside her and help. On the other hand, Hina was constantly surrounded by the aura of her own beauty. The mother's heart now held only one prayer. "O Allah, may both my daughters get married. May both settle in their own homes." There was a river in that village, a very large river. It was so big that the entire village fetched water from there. In the early morning and evening, the riverbank would get quite crowded. One day, Sabra woke up very early and went to the river to fill water. While she was filling water, another woman arrived. Upon seeing Sabra, she immediately said, "Oh, Sabra, you've come to the river very early today." Sabra replied gently, "Yes, Babhai, sister-in-law neighbor, I came early because later it gets very crowded. The rush increases and it becomes difficult to fill water. That's why I thought I'd finish the work early." The woman laughed and spoke with a sarcastic smile. Yes, I understand everything. No need to hide your reasons from me. You came early so you wouldn't have to listen to people's taunts. After all, everyone knows how dark you are and how fair and beautiful your sister is. That is the reason, isn't it?" Sabra remained silent. The woman kept speaking, pouring poison. "By the way, sometimes I feel very sorry for you. Since I came to this settlement, I see how hard your mother works sewing all our clothes. Yet she raises you too with great difficulty. On top of that, you were born with this black color. I feel like your mother must be fed up with you too." At this, Sabra spoke up, "No, Babhai. My mother loves both of us very much. She has never differentiated between us sisters." But where was that woman going to stop? She continued to spew venom. Sabra said nothing more. She lifted her pot filled with water and walked away with quick steps. As she walked, tears flowed silently from her eyes. On the way beneath a tree, her gaze fell upon something. A tiny baby parrot was lying on the ground. It was fluttering badly, perhaps from cold or hunger. Seeing the baby bird, Sabra forgot her own sorrow and stopped. She put the pot down and immediately moved forward to pick up the tiny parrot. She tried to give it water, but it wouldn't drink. Its body was cold. Sabra immediately wrapped the tiny bird in her scarf dupatta. Then she lifted the pot and walked quickly towards home. Upon reaching home, she warmed a little milk. She made tiny pieces of roti bread and placed them carefully before it. After a while, life began to return to the parrot chick. She said to her mother, "Mother, I don't know how this poor thing was lying outside without its mother. I couldn't leave it." Just then Hina spoke up, "Yes, yes, now just raise animal bobbies, that's all you are good for." Her tone was sarcastic, but Sabra did not answer her. She remained busy silently caring for the tiny parrot. Chapter 3. The Burden of Marriage. One day, Sabra's mother, Khalida, was sitting anxiously sewing clothes. Her face was fallen, and worry was clearly visible in her eyes. The needle moved back and forth, but the knot in her heart was stuck elsewhere. At that moment, Sabra's Bua, paternal aunt, entered the house. She was a widow and lived in the same house. Looking closely at Khalida, she said, "Babhai, why do you look so worried today?" Khalida took a long breath and stopped the machine. "What can I tell you, sister Apa? The worry for my daughters is eating me up. I just keep thinking that they should get married soon and settle in their own homes." The Bua immediately seized the conversation as if she had been looking for this opportunity. She said, "Babhai, I have told you before and you know everything. Forget about the elder daughter. She is dark. Her marriage isn't going to happen. I feel that chasing after her marriage, you will waste the younger one's age too. There is already poverty in the house. The stove burns with difficulty. Where will proposals come from? It shouldn't happen that no proposal comes at all. And because of the elder one, the younger one's home is never established either." Khalida was shocked. These words fell like weights upon her heart. She was a mother who viewed both her daughters with the same eye. She said, "Apa, don't say such things. Both my daughters are equal to me. How can I skip one and marry off the other?" The Bua laughed sarcastically. "Oh Babhai, have you seen few proposals? Has anyone ever even liked your dark daughter? And Hina, she is so beautiful that boys will line up with proposals themselves. Watch, seeing her beauty, people won't even ask for a dowry. Just get her married. Leave that dark one." Sabra was standing behind the door listening to all these things. Every word fell on her heart like a stone. Silent tears began to flow from her eyes, but she didn't speak because she was used to hearing such things. At that moment she composed herself and brought tea, 1 cup for her mother, 1 for Bua. Bua saw the cup of tea, suddenly stood up, made a face and said, "Oh Allah, I don't know whose wretched face I saw this morning. It seems the whole day will go badly." Saying this, she quickly left the house. Sabra remained standing there. Her mother saw the tears in Sabra's eyes and said, "Daughter, don't cry. Now even I am used to these things. You know, don't you, that your Bua has had a habit of speaking like this since childhood. That's why don't take her words to heart." Sabra silently wiped her eyes. Just then Hina came inside. Mother said, "Sabra has brought water, go help her." Hina said irritably, "Mother, how many times have I told you not to ask me to do such chores? If I do all this, I will become dark like Sabra. My hands will get ruined." Hearing her words, the mother said, "Daughter, you shouldn't say that. When you get married, no one in your in-laws' house will tolerate these tantrums. They will make you work." Hina raised her head with pride and said, "Mother, do you think I will go to some poor man's house? No, I am so beautiful that someone will take me away to make me a princess. I was never born for these small chores. I am born to rule." The mother looked at both daughters, one blind in pride, the other drowned in patience. Sabra quietly got up and started gathering the utensils. Afterward, she went to feed the parrot, which had now recovered significantly. It had become truly beautiful. It fluttered slowly, came to Sabra and ate tiny pieces of bread from her hand. Whatever Sabra ate, she fed to the parrot. Sabra lovingly called him Sanu. Sanu had become attached to her. He would eat from her hand, sit on her shoulder, flutter happily, and try to help her in her chores. But Hina hated all of this. Many times when Sabra was busy with housework, Hina would grab Sanu and angrily throw him out into the courtyard. The tiny bird, scared, would fly and sit on a wall or a tree branch. But after a while, he would return on his own, as if he knew where his home was. One day, some people came to see a potential bride. Bua quickly said, "Babhai, present Hina today so that at least she gets settled." But Sabra's mother said, "It is decided that my elder daughter Sabra will go before them first. First the elder, then the younger's turn." An argument started between Bua and the mother. Finally, Sabra's mother said sternly, "My elder daughter will come first. I will not put one forward by abandoning the other." Saying this, she forcibly made Hina sit inside and called Sabra before the guests. The guests looked at each other and began whispering, "What dark-skinned daughter have they made sit in front of us?" They stood up without even drinking tea. The mother tried hard, saying, "Oh, please sit." But they were not ready to listen. That day Sabra cried a lot over her helplessness. By nightfall she developed a high fever. She lay weakly on the cot, and Sanu, the tiny parrot, became restless. He couldn't understand why Sabra wasn't giving him grain today. He flew over and sat near the cot. He gently pulled at Sabra's hair with his tiny beak, as if trying to wake her. When Sabra opened her eyes, she saw Sanu near her. A faint smile appeared on her lips. The parrot looked at Sabra for a while. Then suddenly, in a tiny but clear voice, he spoke. "Today you have a fever. That is why you couldn't get up, right? Don't worry. You will get well very soon. Watch, one day a very good proposal will come for you. You will become a queen. Everyone will respect you." He paused, then spoke gently. "The world talks anyway. It is their habit. But you are very good, very sensible, and very beautiful." Sabra began to look at the parrot intently. There was surprise in her eyes. "Oh, my Sanu, you talk. You can speak like humans." And he said, "Yes, I can speak. I can hear and I can say everything." Forgetting her worry, Sabra took Sanu in both hands and lovingly stroked his feathers. She smiled and said, "Your words have lightened my heart." After that, Sabra busied herself with housework again. On the other side, some distance from Sabra's village, was another village. There lived a man who was considered extremely wealthy in his area. People respectfully called him Nawab Sahib. He owned lands, wealth, and respect. He lacked nothing. Nawab Sahib had only one son. His name was Shahraz. He was extremely handsome in face and appearance. Yet, despite all this, Nawab Sahib was constantly worried about his son's marriage. One day, Nawab Sahib's anxiety exceeded limits. He called a learned, respected, and famous astrologer to his mansion. He asked, "Babajai, I am very worried about my only son. Tell me, will my son ever get married or not? Rich girls from great estates are bringing proposals from far and wide, beautiful, wealthy girls from high families. But my son is not ready to say yes to any proposal. He keeps refusing to marry. Babajai, if this continues, I fear my son's marriageable age will pass. I even asked my son that if he likes a girl, he should tell me. But he clearly says no, he likes no one." Disappointment was clearly dripping from Nawab Sahib's voice. The astrologer closed his eyes. He remained silent for a few moments, as if reading from the stars. Then the astrologer said, "Nawab Sahib, there is nothing to worry about. Your son will definitely get married, but your son's marriage will not be in a rich house." Nawab Sahib was shocked. The astrologer continued, "That marriage will take place in a very poor house, a house where 2 square meals are earned with great difficulty." Nawab Sahib listened silently. The astrologer said with certainty, "Rest assured. The time for your son's marriage has not yet come. Every task has a designated time, and that time is decided by Allah himself." Hearing the astrologer's words, Nawab Sahib fell into surprise for a few moments. He spoke with some restlessness. "Baba Jai, why only a poor house? Such good proposals from big families are coming. Can there be no exchange for my son among them?" The astrologer said solemnly, "This is solely Allah's will." Saying this, the astrologer left, and Nawab Sahib sat there drowned in thought. While Nawab Sahib was lost in these thoughts, his son Shahraz came to him. He said respectfully, "Father, I am going out for a bit. I have some work. I have to go to the other village." Nawab Sahib looked at his son. He knew that his son was a Nawab only in name, but at heart he was a virtuous human being. Shahraz often roamed in the guise of common people, sometimes as a laborer, sometimes as a farmer, sometimes like a traveler. He would wander village to village, street to street, seeing who was truly needy, whose stove was hard to light, who truly deserved help. Today, too, he stood ready wearing farmer's clothes, simple dress, a cloth on his shoulder and a turban on his head. Nawab Sahib just said, "Okay, son, may Allah protect you." Shahraz set off in the guise of a farmer. He went to the nearby village first. Then, walking, he headed towards the other area. It was morning. Everyone was busy with their work. Some were going to the fields, some taking cattle, some busy in their tasks. During this time, Sabra was also going towards the river carrying her pot. The parrot was with her, sitting on her shoulder. Sabra looked at the sky and said, "Look, Sanu, the weather looks a bit strange today. The wind is heavy too." The parrot nodded and said, "Yes, let's fill water quickly." Sabra smiled and began filling water at the riverbank. Meanwhile, Shahraz had been walking for a long time. He began to feel intense thirst. He also arrived at the bank of the same river to drink water. Suddenly, a strong wind began to blow. Dust started flying. The storm intensified. Dust was flying everywhere. The sky turned black. Sabra tried to close her eyes, but sharp dust got into them. At that same moment, dust filled Shahraz's eyes too. He couldn't see anything. The parrot started screeching loudly, "Choo, choo." He began to speak. "Oh, dust has gone into my eyes. I can't see anything." Sabra tried to hold Sanu firmly, but in the strong wind he began to flutter. The darkness was such that no one could see anything. When the dust went into Sabra's eyes in the strong storm, water began to flow from her eyes, and at that moment, a prayer dua began to escape her lips. Sabra began reciting the prayer in a loud voice. Her voice sounded very lovely even in the noise of the wind. The parrot also came close to her and started making strange sounds in his own style. It seemed as if he was also repeating the prayer after her. This scene was soul-touching. The storm slowly began to subside. Sabra did not think it proper to stay there for a single moment longer. She held the pot firmly and walked quickly towards home. Shahraz stood there. His vision had blurred. He looked around, but there was no one there. Only a voice had descended deep into his heart, that girl's voice of prayer. Shahraz had seen a scene with blurry eyes, a girl with a pot in her hand and a bird sitting on her shoulder. The face was not clearly visible, just a faint glimpse. Shahraz remained standing on the riverbank and said to himself, "What was all that? Who is that girl? I will definitely find her. If I find that girl, I will marry her." He took a few steps forward, then stopped. He was hearing the voice of his heart for the first time, because until today, Shahraz had never seriously thought about marriage. This was the first day the thought of marriage woke in his heart. He took a deep breath, adjusted his clothes, and walked towards that village. He began roaming street to street, but that girl was seen nowhere, neither that voice nor that parrot. Searching and searching, he reached the very edge of the village. There was an old hut. In that hut, an old woman was sitting on a cot, silently cutting vegetables. Shahraz slowly approached her. Coming close to the old woman, he said, "Amma, mother, I need your help." The old woman looked at him closely and said, "Yes, son, tell me, how can I help you?" Shahraz made a sad face and said, "Amma, in the storm that came a little while ago, my 2 goats got lost. I am looking for them. I have come from the neighboring village. I don't know where they went." The old woman nodded sympathetically. "Yes, son, this often happens. Animals graze and wander far away." She put her hands on her knees and said, "Son, I rarely go out of the house. Old bones, weak body." Shahraz said, "Amma, where my goats were grazing, the storm came. At the time of that storm I heard the voice of a bird. That's why I couldn't see what bird it was. It was speaking, talking clearly. Amma, do you know if anyone in this village has such a talking bird that speaks like humans?" The old woman remained silent for a few moments. She stopped cutting vegetables. Then she spoke slowly, "Son, I don't know completely, but yes, I definitely heard about a bird." Shahraz was startled. The old woman continued, "People say that a bird has been heard talking sometimes. It's not fully like humans, but it speaks some words." Shahraz asked impatiently, "Amma, who has that bird?" The old woman said, "That bird is at the house of a seamstress woman in our village. That seamstress's daughter has that bird." He spoke respectfully, "Amma, can you tell me where that house is?" The old woman looked at him and said, "Yes, son, that house is in the other neighborhood." Shahraz set off from there towards the other neighborhood. In a short while he reached that street. He stopped directly in front of that seamstress's house. A woman was sitting in the courtyard of the house. A sewing machine was in front of her, and she was bent over sewing clothes. This was Sabra's mother. Shahraz stepped forward and said, "Kala auntie, I wanted to get a suit sewn by you. I have heard that you sew very good clothes. That is why I have come to you." The woman stopped the machine, looked at him and said, "Son, I don't know if I sew good clothes, because these days no one comes to me to get clothes sewn. Occasionally, if a stray cloth comes, I do it." Shahraz said, "Kala, my friend gave me your address." He hadn't even finished the sentence when a girl came out from inside. As soon as Shahraz's gaze fell on her, he was startled. Hina also saw Shahraz. A thought came to Shahraz's heart. Perhaps this is the girl who has the talking bird. Sabra's mother said, "This is my daughter. She helps me with the work." He spoke quickly, "Kala, I will bring the cloth and come tomorrow." Saying this, he left. After that, Shahraz began visiting that house every day on some pretext or another. He always came in the guise of a farmer, and his eyes were always fixed on Hina. Hina was also very happy seeing Shahraz. She had no idea that this ordinary-looking young man was the son of a great Nawab. They began to meet daily. During this time, one day Sabra came to Hina and said, "Hina, come with me to the market. We have to buy some things. Guests are coming and there is a lot of housework. Mother is busy with sewing." Hearing this, Hina's face distorted. She spoke in a sharp tone, "Oh, how many times have I told you not to ask me to do maid-like chores? And these guests coming, surely someone is coming to see you, but who will like you? Neither are you beautiful, nor is anything good written in your fate. My marriage is also stalled just because of your dark, ugly face. Otherwise, it would have happened long ago. I don't know why Mother is stubborn that your marriage must happen first, then mine. Just watch. Today, too, no one will choose you. Like every time, they will like me instead of you. Give up all this. What will you get by crying over your fate? Fate is that which comes with a face. Aren't you ashamed? You lift your face and go before everyone saying, 'Come choose me.' You just get yourself insulted." These words pierced Sabra's heart like a knife. Just then, Bua also arrived and said, "Oh yes, this girl has become a burden." Tears began to flow from Sabra's eyes, but she remained silent. At that moment the parrot flew in, sat near Sabra and spoke in a low voice, "Just have patience. Don't care about these words." He gently pulled her with his beak, leading her out of the courtyard. By evening, once again the boy's family came to see Sabra, but as always the same thing happened. Hina was chosen, but Hina refused because she had started liking Shahraz, the farmer. Silence and gloom fell over the house. Sabra left the house without saying anything. Tears kept flowing. Her feet kept moving on their own. Walking and walking, she sat under a tree outside the village. Sitting there, she cried loudly. She cried as if years of grief came out all at once. The parrot flew to her, sat on her shoulder and tried to quiet her. Crying, Sabra said, "Sanu, don't you see? My whole village mocks me. I am so ugly that people don't even consider me human. Even my family is fed up with me. Sometimes I feel like going somewhere and giving my life." Hearing this, Sanu got scared. He immediately said, "No, don't think like that. What is written in fate is bound to happen, don't cry." Wiping tears from her eyes, Sabra said, "No, Sanu, only sorrows are written in my fate, nothing else." The parrot consoled Sabra a lot, and to some extent, Sabra understood. A few days later, Shahraz came to Sabra's mother's house again to collect clothes. After taking the clothes, Shahraz took out a pouch full of money from his pocket and placed it on her hand. Seeing the amount, she was shocked. "Oh son, this is too much." Shahraz immediately said, "No, Kala, you have sewn very good clothes. This is your hard work. And Kala, I have told other people too to get clothes sewn by you. You truly do great work." Hearing this, Sabra's mother said, "If this continues, son, perhaps I will be able to marry off my daughters with honor." Hearing this, Shahraz spoke gently but in clear words, "Kala, I want to marry your daughter." Sabra's mother was astonished. She immediately said, "But son, I don't even know you properly." Shahraz bowed his head and said, "Kala, I am the son of a very rich man of this area, Nawab Sahib. I deliberately live among common people in disguise, sometimes as a farmer, sometimes a laborer, so that I can see who is truly living in poverty and who needs our help." Shahraz continued, "Kala, that day too I went to the riverbank as a farmer. There I saw your daughter. She had a talking bird with her, and Kala, your daughter's voice was even more beautiful than that. She was reciting a prayer. At that moment, I understood that this girl is very virtuous, very pure." Hearing this, Sabra's mother was extremely happy in her heart. She understood that Shahraz was talking about her elder daughter, Sabra. But the poor woman did not know that he was actually talking about Hina, thinking Hina was the one with the bird. Hina was standing behind, listening to all this with bated breath. Hina's face hardened. In her eyes there was no surprise but a fire of envy. She said to herself, "So this is the matter. This Nawab's son, this rich heir, is talking about my dark, ugly sister, just because she has that wretched talking parrot." Anger flared in her heart. "Such a rich and handsome boy marrying my ugly sister. I will not tolerate this. He will marry me. For that I have to do something. I hate that parrot anyway. I tried throwing it out so many times, but it flies back to her. Now I must capture that bird somehow. I must make it used to me so it attaches to me. Then Shahraz will marry me." She thought with hatred, "I will never let my dark sister enter that Nawab's house. For her, any poor beggar will do. After all, she is ugly. I am so beautiful, and that right is only mine." Hina quietly slipped out and went straight to a bird trainer in the village. That man knew ways to tame and control birds. Hina hesitantly asked him everything about birds, and he explained everything well. These things settled in Hina's heart like a knot. She returned home immediately. Now she spoke to the parrot in a soft voice, smiled, and showed fake love. Seeing this, Sabra thought to herself, "Perhaps Hina has started loving birds too." Meanwhile, Sabra's mother was very happy that her elder daughter was getting married. The poor mother didn't know how cunning her younger daughter had become. She didn't know Hina's love was a sham and that greed, not love, was growing in her heart. And the talking parrot was watching everything, understanding everything. He was silent. Sabra's mother said, "Daughter, now your luck has shined." Sabra looked at her mother nervously and said in a low voice, "Mother, the Nawab's son hasn't even seen me. How will he marry me?" Fear was visible in her eyes. "And if he sees me and then refuses the marriage, what will happen then?" Mother gently placed her hand on Sabra's cheek and said, "Daughter, think good thoughts. Nothing wrong will happen. Whatever Allah has written will happen." After that, Hina played a game no one had thought of. She knew Shahraz was already in love with her, thinking she was the parrot owner, and he didn't care about anything else. One day Hina asked Shahraz, "Tell me, is there any boy in your village who would marry a dark, ugly girl and have no objection, whether he earns much or not?" Shahraz replied simply, "Yes, there is a boy. He is a laborer with one leg. He cannot work much. He has a small house, but he is not bad at heart. He is very virtuous and pious." Then she deceived Shahraz too, saying, "Look, the day we get married, my elder sister must also get married the same day. Otherwise, my mother will be very worried for her, fearing my sister will be left alone, because mother always wanted to marry my elder sister first." Shahraz accepted this as an act of kindness. Meanwhile, Hina told her mother, "Mother, since Sabra is getting married, get me married to a boy from this same village too. Just finish the responsibility of both at once." The mother happily agreed, thinking since her daughter was so beautiful, she must have chosen a beautiful life partner. And so the wedding day arrived. That day the parrot screamed loudly, "Betrayal is happening, betrayal is happening." But neither Sabra nor anyone else paid attention to him. Both sisters had their nikah wedding ceremony on the same day. Everything was done, but the real calamity was yet to come. When the veils were removed from the groom's faces and the time for departure came, Sabra's mother stood frozen. Darkness clouded her eyes. She saw that Sabra was with the one-legged laborer and Hina was with the Nawab's son. In an instant, she understood everything. Her own biological daughter had committed such a deception against her sister that couldn't even be imagined. She screamed, "What has happened?" At that moment she remembered the words the parrot was repeating before the wedding, "Betrayal is happening." But she hadn't paid heed. This shock was too great for her heart. She suddenly clutched her chest and fell to the ground. Everyone panicked. Sabra ran screaming to her mother, "Mother, mother, get up." But the mother had left all the world's pain behind. In that shock she had departed from this mortal world. Sabra clung to her mother's chest, weeping bitterly, and Hina, she stood silent. After the mother died, a mountain of sorrows broke upon Sabra. Later, when the parrot told her the whole truth about how she was deceived, Sabra's heart trembled for a moment. But then she bowed her head. "All right, no matter. I got what was written in my fate and my sister got what was in hers." She made no complaint to anyone. She just thanked Allah. Hina went to the Nawab family's grand house. Gold jewelry, silk clothes, lines of servants. She was very happy in the palace-like house with her husband. And Sabra, she began living in a small mud house with her laborer husband, Rashid. Sabra was hardworking, patient, and pure-hearted. She supported her husband in every task, considered his every sorrow her own, and thanked Allah in every condition. When Sabra's husband saw her virtue, love awoke in his heart for her. He often said, "I thank Allah 100,000 times that I got such a wife." Despite being a laborer with one leg, Rashid was very hardworking. He would bring flowers from a garden near the village and sell them in the village. This is how the vehicle of his and Sabra's life ran. 2 meals were afforded through this hard work. The parrot had also come to that mud house with Sabra. He spent all day flying in the courtyard or on trees. Rashid often smiled and said, "Sabra, sometimes I feel this parrot is no ordinary parrot. It knows everything beforehand. Surely it is a magical parrot." Hearing this, Sabra would laugh and say lovingly, "No, nothing like that. It is just a common parrot. Allah has just given it the ability to speak." Sanu often went with Rashid to pick flowers too. One day, Rashid went towards the forest to pick flowers. Sanu was with him. Suddenly, a snake came out of the bushes and bit Rashid on his disabled leg. Rashid screamed in pain. Sanu screamed loudly, "Snake, snake has bitten." He flew quickly, brought Sabra there. Sabra ran. She immediately attended to Rashid, called the village healer Hakim. Medicines were applied. The poison was largely removed. But because he was a laborer, he could no longer walk properly. He began staying mostly on the cot. But household expenses still had to be met. Now Sabra started selling flowers herself to sustain the house. Years passed. It had been several years since the marriage, but their condition remained the same. They had a son who was now 6 years old, but instead of decreasing, poverty increased. The garden from which they picked flowers to live also slowly ended. The owner of the garden had now planted vegetables there. The flower trees were cut, and that place remained of flowers no more. Now earning even one meal became very difficult for them. Often Sabra and her husband remained hungry, but they worried for their son. They couldn't see their son hungry. Rashid was now mostly sick. Getting up from the cot became hard for him. One day he said to Sabra, "Sabra, Nawab Sahib is a very kind-hearted human. If you go to ask him for help, he will definitely help. His son Shahraz is also very kind-hearted, and on top of that, he is your sister's husband." Sabra immediately said, "No, I will never spread my hands before my sister. I will tolerate hunger, but I will not beg before my sister." Her husband explained gently, "You won't beg, you will just ask for work. Perhaps after so many years some mercy will come into her heart." Sabra became silent. She thought a lot. Finally, looking at her son's face, she decided. Placing a stone on her heart, she went to her sister Hina to ask for work. Hina now had 2 children too. She was still as beautiful as before, but along with beauty, selfishness, greed, and miserliness had grown in her. She was as poor in heart as she was rich in wealth. Eventually, Shahraz hired Sabra for work. Sabra would wake up every morning, pray namaz, finish her house chores, and then go to Shahraz's mansion to work. One day she arrived at the mansion in the morning. Hina said in a sharp tone, "Apas, sister, how many times have I told you to come on time? You are late again today. There is so much work in such a big mansion." Then she said rudely, "Well, anyway, now that you are here, finish all the work quickly." Sabra bowed her head and said, "Forgive me, younger sister. My son was crying all night due to stomach pain. I didn't have money for medicine. Now he has some relief. That is why I got a bit late. I will finish all the work quickly right now." Then Sabra silently busied herself with work. She cleaned the whole house. When she finished washing dishes, Hina came and started ordering her around. "These rice grains, clean them. Separate the broken grains. Only clean and good rice is cooked in our mansion. Broken rice is not used here." Then she added, "And after that, make lunch." Sabra quickly cleaned the rice and started making lunch. She thought in her heart, when I came to ask for work, Nawab Sahib said I would get paid. But Hina quickly said she would only give roti bread in return, nothing else. A tiny hope woke in her heart. Perhaps she will give me some of this clean rice. I will take it home and cook it for my son. When all the work was finished and she started to leave for home, Hina stopped her at the door. Thrusting a bag into her hand, she said, "Apa, take this broken rice, broken grains." Then she said with contempt, "Such rice is not cooked in my house. Clean rice cooks in our mansion. You all can eat this garbage rice comfortably." She silently held the bag of rice and walked straight towards her home. There were tears in her eyes, but her lips were completely silent, because she knew that in such poverty, even this rice was very precious to her. Sabra cooked that rice and fed her husband, her son, and that parrot too. It would be night time. In the raw house, a dim lamp would be burning. Despite the day's fatigue, Sabra would perform ablution wudu and stand for prayer. She would stay in prostration, sajda, for a long time. Tears flowed silently. At that moment the parrot would sit close to her. "Allah is watching." Sabra would look at him startled. Sanu would nod and say, "Those who have patience never go empty-handed. Just a little more time." Sabra, wiping her tears, says to the parrot, "Sanu, when you are near, the heart gets great courage." The next day the same routine started again. Sabra finished her chores early morning and reached the mansion. Seeing her, Hina said, "Oh, Apa, you came early today. Very good. Today my husband Sharaz and I feel like eating liver kaleji. Make it by applying masala well, just like you used to make for us before marriage. Finish the house chores first, then make the liver. Sabra said gently, "Okay sister, fine." She finished all the house chores and went to the kitchen to grind spices for the liver. While making the spices, a thought came to her heart. My son loves liver too. Thinking this, her eyes became moist. When the liver was put on the stove, a very good aroma spread throughout the mansion. Hina came into the kitchen smelling the aroma and said, "Today it smells very delicious. Seems you made the liver even better than before." After a while, the liver was ready. Hina, her husband, and both children sat at the table eating the liver with relish, and Sabra sat on the floor gathering utensils. A tiny hope woke in her heart. Perhaps today's sister will give me a little liver to take home. When Sabra started getting up to go home, Hina's voice came from behind. "Wait a pa, I have kept something for you too." Hearing this, Sabra's step stopped. Hina said, "This is leftover curry from 2 days ago. Some rice was left too and a little vegetable. Take it home and heat it up." Sabra silently took those vessels. Upon reaching home, when she heated the food, she sensed a slight bad smell. At that moment Sanu spoke, "This is not right, don't give it to the child." But her son was hungry. He was crying from hunger. Sabra placed a stone on her heart and gave it to her son and husband. They both ate the stale food and slept thanking Allah. The next day, after performing Fajr prayer, she started leaving quickly. It was still dark when her son rubbed his eyes and said, "Amma, where are you going so early in the dark today?" Sabra said lovingly, "Son, today many guests are coming to your aunt's Massey house. Your aunt has made a lot of profit in the harvest. In this happiness they are giving a feast to everyone. That is why I have to go early." Hearing this, a shine came into the child's eyes. He spoke innocently, "Amma, when so many guests are coming, Massey must have invited me too, right?" Hearing this, the parrot's eyes also became moist. The parrot was about to speak when Sabra strengthened her heart and said, "Son, she invited you, but you cannot go. Your father will be alone at home. Who will take care of him? If we all go, his health might get worse." Hearing this, the child immediately said, "Okay, Amma, I will stay with Baba." Then he smiled and said, "Amma, today many sweets must be made at Massey's house, right? A happy occasion. I haven't eaten any sweets for a long time. Massey will give some sweets for me too, right?" Hearing this, Sabra's heart broke. She immediately hugged her son and, hiding tears in her eyes, said, "Yes, son, today many sweets will be made. I will definitely bring some for you. Don't worry." Saying this, she left. All the way, one question echoed in her heart. How can my sister be so indifferent? She invited the whole village to the feast, but not once did she say, "Bring your son along too." There was liveliness everywhere in the mansion. Large cauldrons were set up. Confectioners were making sweets. The aroma of delicious dishes was spread everywhere. Sabra stood silent in a corner watching all this. Just then Hina strutted over to her and said in a harsh tone, "Oh, can't you see so many guests are coming? Standing here watching the spectacle. Clean all the utensils quickly. We need clean vessels." And then she said the thing that pierced Sabra's heart like a lancet. "And yes, remember one thing. Don't tell the guests that you are my sister." She spoke with contempt. "People will say, 'I am beautiful and you are so dark and ugly. How can you be my sister? If anyone asks, just say you are the maid.'" The parrot, who had flown after her today, was listening to everything. He was silent, but his tiny heart was breaking. She busied herself in work. Her hands were moving, but her heart was weeping. At that moment Sanu flew to her and whispered, "Don't do this, Sabra. Don't tolerate such humiliation." His voice choked up. "It hurts me a lot when your sister treats you like this. Come, leave everything, let's go home." Tears flowed from Sabra's eyes. Crying, she said, "If I go home, my son will remind."